Is it treasure or is it junk? Let's find out together this week on Motivation Monday. For years now, I've sold items on eBay. It's a really fun hobby. I think it is. And of course, it puts a little extra money in the savings account or gives us a little extra money that we can help others with and be a blessing to them. Also, in some of the things I've learned and the connections I've made at auctions, I've been able to save money for the church. And I've made other connections, friendships, and folks I might be able to influence with the gospel through all of these activities. Long before this was my home office and COVID-19 studio, this has always been my eBay shop. And so I'd like to share with you 3 lessons today, 3 applications that we're going to make from things that I sell on eBay. So let's start right here with this VCR. You may think, who wants a VCR? Well, lots of people want a VCR. And this is how I started selling on eBay. I would buy a pallet load of these, 100 or 150 from one of our local school districts. And of course, the first thing that you have to do is you have to test it. Does it work or is it junk? So you plug it in, you try it out. Hey, it's great, let's go sell it. Or it's junk, it needs to go to the recycler. There's a great lesson for us there. Romans 12:2 teaches us about the importance of testing the things that are in our life. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to the things of this world, to the behaviors of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind," to be transformed by learning about God's Word. Why do you do that? So that you can test what is good, so that you can test what is of God. So as you study and grow in God's Word, you'll be better able, better equipped to test and say, this is good or this is junk. That's point number 1. But speaking of junk, let's get to number 2. Point number 2 is this big hunk of junk right here. Some of you teachers might recognize it. It is a Scantron reader. I've had this thing sitting on a shelf over here behind the camera for years, and shelf space is pretty tight here. And so this has been taking up space, and I finally pulled it down just a couple days ago. It's been sitting up there for probably 3 or 4 years. I'm like, I'm going to finally test that thing. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see if it's worth selling. You know what? It's not worth selling. It's not worth the risk that's involved. It's missing some parts. I don't know if it works. It's junk. I've been holding on to junk for years. Point 2, Christians, we need to get rid of or let go of our junk. It's really easy to leave it sitting on a shelf and think, I'll deal with that someday. But you know what? Your junk is holding you back from your full potential. Maybe it's something you're holding on to that you know is not worth holding on to. Get rid of it. Maybe it's something that you just haven't dealt with yet. Now's a great time to deal with it. Let's get rid of our junk so that we can focus on our treasure. And that's what I'm going to use this mug for right here. And this mug may look familiar to some of you because it actually came from the church building. I sell some items for the church from time to time. They were clearing out the kitchen with part of the remodeling. I said, save anything vintage looking. I'll see if I can sell it, make a little money for the church, give it back to the church. And so there's these green mugs. There's a whole shelf of them up there. The ladies did a great job packing them up. And when my mom saw it, she said, you need to check that out. And I thought, it's a mug. Who wants a mug? Do you know what these sell for? They are treasured in Japan. And so I'm selling them right now for the church. Money's going to go back over there. They're made by Fire Kings, called a jadeite mug. These things are selling for over $50 each plus shipping. There's about $2,000 worth of mugs sitting over here that's going to go to the church. I've sold probably about $500 so far of mugs. I don't value this mug at $50, actually closer to $75 by the time you pay shipping, but I'm glad someone does. What I do value and what I do place as a value of treasure, God's Word right here. I want to read for you just one verse from Psalm 119. Psalm 119, I think it was, yes, verse 162. I rejoice at your word as one who finds great treasure. We've talked about treasure and we've talked about junk today. But do you treasure God's word? Do you rejoice in God's word? Are you renewed by God's word so that you can purge out that junk? I hope that these lessons have been valuable to you, something to consider, something to put into action. Focus on the treasure, get rid of the junk, and have a great week.